I've always believed that the actor's job is to tell the story within the story. The true themes of a story come out in the way an actor plays their role. Joaquin Phoenix is best known for his Oscar-winning role as the Joker, which is one of the greatest performances ever. But I don't even think it's his best. In 2005, Joaquin played Johnny Cash in Walk the Line, and this movie could be a lesson on what an actor's job really is. So much of this movie's story is told through the actors' performances. Look at this scene, for example. By this point in the movie, you've already learned a lot about the characters. Like how Johnny Cash is very impulsive and wears his heart on his sleeve. But also that June Carter cares most about entertaining the crowd when she's on stage. Even though she isn't happy with John in this moment, she puts it past her because the way she was raised was to give the fans a good show. Also, every time that John asks June to marry him, she holds the power and doesn't give him an answer. So that's why in this moment, John, who has nothing to hide and doesn't care how much of his heart the world sees, decides not to play the song because he needs to know if June will marry him. At first, June tries to keep the show going and not deal with John at this time. But John is tired of waiting and refuses to back down. This brings June to an emotional state because she can no longer push her feelings for John to the side and now must face it head on. And with every word John says to convince her, it cuts deeper and deeper until eventually she has to accept it and
Y'all heard she said yes.
This entire scene and movie as a whole is filled with moments where the weight of the story is put fully on the actor's shoulders to tell the audience what's going on with the characters. And that is what I believe an actor's job truly is. So today we are going to be talking about the greatest performances I've ever seen. If you were like me, you grew up knowing Robert De Niro as the old dude in comedy movies who looks like the guy from Up. But before we entered a new millennium, Robert De Niro was giving us some of the greatest characters ever brought to screen. But his best role, in my opinion, is Taxi Driver. Let's take a look at this scene. Up to this point in the movie, we know that Travis Bickle is not happy with all the things that are going on in his neighborhood or his life in general. He refers to people as trash and is very clearly detached from reality, having not had much human connection. In this scene, we get a glimpse into Travis Bickle failing to make a genuine connection as he tries to open up to a coworker about his mental state.
I just want to go out. I really want to. I got some bad ideas in my head.
His coworker misunderstands him, and this causes Travis to shut down.
I don't know. That's about the dumbest thing I ever heard.
In this moment, we can see the need for human connection inside of Robert De Niro's performance. We can also see the disappointment when he doesn't get what he's looking for. But I think Robert De Niro's most underrated performance is in Once Upon a Time in America, because this is such a quiet performance. Gone is the raging bull or the terrifying charisma of Cape Fear, and here we get a man who's probably more detached from reality than even Travis Bickle is. Shown best in this scene where Noodles does something pretty brutal to a lifelong love interest, which I'm not going to go in depth on what he does in this scene, but essentially it's unconsenting Mushu.
Mushu!
Mushu, you hungry?
No, me not Mushu, some Mushu.
After we see Noodles just sitting with what he has just done, he doesn't look like a man who is satisfied with what he just did. Which is the whole point of the movie, on how these criminals take what they want and are ultimately unfulfilled when they get it. Robert De Niro does a great job of showing this the entire film, and he really tells the story through his acting and shows that through his acting. Robert De Niro really shows it when he's an old man in this movie, as every movement is slow and it seems there's no passion left in Noodles. And he's no longer taking what he's want, he's just trying to forget how awful his life has been and wants to believe that everything in his life is not his fault when it is. This is shown great when he finally comes face to face with Deborah after all these years. And you can see in this whole scene that he never cared about what she wanted. He only cared about himself. And the only thing that he has remorse for is that things didn't turn out the way he wanted them to. But I could go on about Robert De Niro all day when it comes to performances, so I'll save the rest for another video. Edward Norton is a name associated with many things nowadays, but I think people don't realize how truly generational this man's talent was. Pissed off editing Artorias here, so YouTube made me cut out the part where I talked about American History X with Edward Norton, so we're just going to move on from that, but just know, if you want to see a great performance, watch American History X. Now we just talked about two characters who just did some very bad stuff. So I want to take a quick break to say, even though these performances can haunt us, it's the insecurities, the jealousy, the greed, and all the other evil and good qualities that reveal something about us as humans and our human nature. To where, yes, these are extreme versions of humans, they still have that human element that we can all relate to. Now with that, we can segue into Old Boy. Choi Min-sik is probably the name most people will not be familiar with in this video, but if you've seen Old Boy, you probably know that he should be mentioned in a video like this. In Old Boy, Choi Min-sik shows what it's like when you play a character more like an animal than a human. And in the beginning of the movie, he is animalistic, getting drunk and messing around while being detained. There's a very childish nature to the character, and that never truly leaves the movie, no matter how much Odesu changes throughout the story. Even when he gets into fights, it doesn't look like a man who is planning his revenge for 15 years. He looks like he survives off sheer willpower alone. When the big reveal happens at the end of the movie, this character who has seemed so cool and badass up to this point, once again reverts back to that childish behavior, getting on his hands and knees and begging with a lot of theatrics, like cutting his tongue off. In this movie, throughout the whole story, the identity of the character changes, but his heart stays the same. And extrapolating that from the story is only possible because of the performance Choi Min-sik gave to this movie. Sometimes an overly emotional performance isn't needed to make a character last in your brain. Sometimes all you have to do is give an audience some faces they can't forget. Which brings me to Javier Bardem in No Country for Old Men. Anton Chigurh in this movie is so terrifying because Javier plays the character like he almost never has any emotion until he's passing judgment. Then he looks like he's excited to hold such a power over the unlucky people who have crossed his path. When he makes others take part in his life or death game of coin toss, he comes off as very playful about it, even dropping jokes that are only meant for himself to fully understand.
I didn't put nothing up.
Yes, you're dead. You've been putting it up your whole life. You just didn't know it.
And when Anton gets hit by the same random chance punishment, he's not mad or sad, he just keeps moving, showing that his character isn't driven by normal human emotion, but some sort of life purpose he has given himself, making him feel more like a machine than man at times. And one performance that happened the same year as this that truly cannot be left off of a list of the greatest performances of all time is Daniel Day-Lewis in There Will Be Blood. Now, to truly understand what's so great about this performance, I'd like to compare it to another one of the greatest performances of all time in Christian Bale in American Psycho. Now, these two characters on paper are very similar. Two very wealthy, successful men who look down upon the world and also kill people. But it's the way that these two differ where we can truly see the great job both of these actors are doing. Christian plays Patrick Bateman as if he's an emotionally unstable child who thinks the whole world should revolve around him and throws a tantrum when it doesn't. Where Daniel Day-Lewis plays Daniel Plainview like someone who thinks the world is lazy and the fact that he works so hard for everything makes him better than everyone else. This is shown in the two endings of each movie, where after Patrick Bateman has killed Paul Allen, he seems mad that no one will believe he killed him. Once again, not getting the attention he feels he deserves.
I killed Paul Allen. And I liked it. I can't make myself any clearer.
But that's simply not possible. And I don't find this funny anymore.
It never was supposed to be. Why isn't it possible?
It's just not.
Why not, you stupid bastard?
causing him to revert back to his normal state of hiding himself, as he is the only one who will accept what he truly is. And this is shown in Christian Bale's performance, as he stares as if the whole world doesn't exist, only what's on his mind. Whereas Daniel Plainview takes joy in finally being able to show Paul Dano's character that he has won this battle between each other, and then finally kills him. This is shown through the excited nature in Daniel Day-Lewis's acting as he explains to Paul drainage.
I drink your milkshake. I drink it up!
Both these characters hide their true nature and really didn't want to, but we can see by how the actors play the characters differently when they get exposed what the characters truly want. Patrick Bateman almost wants punishment for his actions because he knows he's not normal, where Daniel Plainview wants to punish others for not being as special as himself. But I could go on forever talking about great acting. I mean, I haven't brought up Marlon Brando, Brad Pitt, Jake Gyllenhaal, or so many others yet. But I think it would be best if we stop here. And if you guys really enjoy this type of video, let me know, because I could turn this into a series if y'all want me to. So if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and like, subscribe, on the road to 1,000 subs. And if we get 30 likes, I'll drop a part 2. But outro song coming in 3, 2, 1.